Oh, hello there. So I'm Brian Faulkner. I'm your SPIZ President-elect for 2017. In this short video, I want to bring you up to date with some of the information on this year's SPIZ Snowscene. I'll give you some more information on locations and logistics as we go through. So Snowscene is a fun way to combine CPD and a tax-efficient ski holiday. I don't know about you, but before I was asked to lead this trip 4 years ago, it wasn't really something that attracted me. But to be honest, I thought it would be very cliquey, and I also thought the idea of spending some of my limited holiday time with a bunch of vets talking shop didn't really appeal. But I loved it in the end. Actually, it was a really good trip, and I ended up making very good friends with some people who have remained friends with ever since. So this year we're going to go to Les Arcs in the Alps, or more specifically Arc 2000, which is part of the substantial Arc Valley complex, which has got all sorts of runs, catering from the beginner to wide open easy runs right through to high altitude skiing. 70% of the skiing in this complex is over 2,000 meters at altitude, so therefore snow conditions are reliable throughout the season. Our hotel is Tajima, which is the first 5-star hotel in Les Arcs, and it's perfectly situated at the foot of the home pistes in Arc 2000 and also at the top of Le Cabriolet ski lift, allowing ski-to-door access to the entire Paradisky area. So that means no stomping along in those ski boots in the morning, lugging your skis to the first ski lift or back again in the evenings. The hotel has fine dining, luxury bedrooms, as well as modern spa facilities, including a swimming pool, sauna, steam room, hot tubs. So if you don't feel like skiing every day, you can relax or answer those 1,000 emails and check up on everyone back at the practice, whatever floats your boat. So for the CPD this year, I've gone with 2 non-clinical speakers, well, because we are a non-clinical society. If you're not familiar with how it works, well, we have 15 hours of CPD across the week, split as a lecture in the morning at 8 o'clock before we hit the slopes, and then another at 6 p.m. just before dinner. Our speakers are James Cronin from 8 Legal. He's an employment law and HR support specialist for the veterinary profession. James's series of talks will be entitled What Vets Really Need to Know About Employment Law. James spoke at SPIV's Snowscene back in 2015 in the south of France, and he was so good that I invited him to speak here again at Snowscene, as every practice sooner or later will have an HR issue that will be giving them a headache. James is going to give 5 lectures. The first is entitled Recruitment, the Law and Best Practice, and he'll look at things like probationary periods, anti-discrimination law, interviews in the law, and fixed-term contracts. His second lecture is going to look at contracts of employment, the various clauses that we need to consider, restrictive covenants, the reality of them, CPD, perhaps part of a contractual agreement and recovery if that agreement is not fulfilled, notice periods, and also managing discipline. His third lecture will be looking at managing performance. It's all about the attitude. Is it you or is it them? And setting time limits with respect to poor performance. Are you putting it off? Are you hoping that the performance will improve? How long is long enough? What about illness and depression with respect to performance? How does anti-discrimination law come in there? Lecture 4 is all about saying goodbye, removing the dead word. So why following the law doesn't always work, says James. Thinking about without prejudice meetings and negotiating an extra. The final lecture is about how to create an elite team. So this is much more about strategic HR planning, having a 5-year plan, who stays, who goes within your team, and aligning the business goals with your employee goals. And then he'll look at recruitment revisited on that basis. Our second speaker is Dan Clay from Clay and Associates Tax Specialists. Dan's series of talks will be entitled Tax, taking a closer look at the biggest cost to our business. The first lecture will look at the structural implications of tax, so limited liability partnerships versus limited companies, looking at tax comparisons of those two structures, the reporting obligations, and then tax payment timings and period endings, and the pros and cons of each of those. The second lecture is going to look at income tax planning, the actual tax computation, how is tax calculated with the various considerations there, looking at the difference between dividends versus salary with PAYE, implications of directors' loan accounts, and then planning opportunities from income tax. The third talk will be about property taxation, looking at buy-to-let, of both limited company owning it versus an individual owning it. And then business property, the tax implications of that, as well as some planning opportunities. The fourth lecture is going to look at expenses and overheads. What is allowable? The annual investment allowance. What do we have to think about with benefits in kinds and the implication to our tax? What about salary sacrifice options? What can be done, what can't? Dan's final lecture is going to be looking at buying and selling businesses. Obviously, with lots of activity in our veterinary profession with review to selling businesses and others buying them, what's the implications of buying and selling versus being a limited company versus a limited liability partnership? What considerations regarding debt and borrowings, capital gains tax implications, and again, what planning opportunities might we need to think about? So that's the CPD. Lots and lots of information there in the non-clinical sense for any business owner or somebody aspiring to business ownership and management and leadership. As for the logistics of the trip, really you've got two travel options. The majority of the party will travel via Eurostar for St Pancras, leaving on Saturday the 4th of March at 9:45 a.m. and then returning into St Pancras a week later on Saturday the 11th at 4:15 in the afternoon. Or if you prefer, if you're travelling from the north, you can choose the flights and transfer option from Manchester Airport into Geneva. That'll be leaving Manchester at 9:10 on Saturday the 4th and then coaching to the resort. The return flight arrives back to Manchester at 2:30 on Saturday the 11th. So with respect to booking, just go onto the SPIVS website, click the booking form link, and then you'll have this booking form that'll come out and you can fill in the details as you see here. The actual price of the trip is made up of four main costs. You've got the week's accommodation, dinner, bread and breakfast. So that's £1,360 for a double or a twin room you can see here, which includes half board, bed and breakfast and dinner. You can, for an extra £200, you can have a room to yourself on a limited first come first served basis. Please note there is no VAT on the actual board because of reverse charge VAT exemptions because of the payment within Europe. The travel is £250 on Eurostar and £299 for the flights. The CPD is £275 plus VAT. That's the only VATable allowable item on this, or £410 plus VAT if you're a non-SPIVS member. But of course, why wouldn't you not just join SPIVS membership for the exact same price and enjoy a year of benefits for the exact same amount of money? Finally, ski hire and lift prices. The prices aren't confirmed yet, but what we do know is we'll be able to get a very significantly discounted price, and that'll be as reasonable as any. Obviously, if you want to bring your own skis and your own equipment, you'll see on the booking form, it tells you all the terms and details. Payment, you can see all the options on the booking form and go from there. So I hope you find that useful. I hope you find it an easier way to perhaps get your head around what Snowscene is and what this year's all about. So come on, join us. It's always a great trip. You'll learn an awful lot about your business and maybe you'll make a few new friends as well. Look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.